welcome to another review today by P-Shog. Today's review is on the Kiera Hudson series by Tim O'Rourke. And there are 4 books in this series so far. I've only read 3 of the books, so apologies if it's not a whole review on the series. But I got an idea of the quality of the books just based on those 3, definitely. The 4th one, Vampire Breed, was out last November, I think, but yeah, I'll have to eventually read that. Okay, so the Kiera Hudson series is about a 20-year-old newly kind of graduated police officer. It's set in England, but you wouldn't think it. Like, this book could have been set anywhere. So anyway, Kiera, she's a newly kind of graduated police officer, and she's sent out to this kind of creepy town to help because there's lots of murders happening there and need a bit of help. So she's kind of like a new recruit, and she's sent out to that town, and she discovers that there's a lot more going on there than she first realised, and the murders seem a bit strange, like they're being, drain of blood at the neck, and kind of brutal murders, and the truth about who's really doing the murders, vampires. And there's other creatures in the series too called vampirus. I think that's how you pronounce it. It ends with Y-R-U-S. And they're kind of like bat creatures, so they're kind of like vampires, but they have bat wings. They can kind of extend and kind of hide when they want. And yeah, so I never really read that before. I mean, it's kind of a good concept to the series. Anyway, over the 4 books, Kiera gets dragged into this kind of vampirous world, and she finds out stuff about it she didn't want to, and she finds out stuff about herself she never really knew or wanted to know. As I said, the concept of the books themselves are quite good, and I love the twists it kind of takes, and the changes in plot from book to book. Like it does go further and further, and the overall plot, they do get better. I don't think book 1 and 2 were cohesive enough. It felt like 2 different books. But the biggest problem with this series is the writing. It's very mediocre writing. Like, I'm not saying it's not hard to write a book. I imagine it's really difficult to write a book. Like, I wrote some short stories and that was even difficult enough. So, I mean, the author did well enough to be able to publish, but I did find a lot of faults with the writing, and that just turned me off. I don't feel like the author understood his characters. He wrote them in kind of an unrealistic light, and there was lots of implausibility. Like, characters got close way too fast. Like, after a couple of chapters, characters refer to themselves as best friends, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Nothing really seemed genuine. Sometimes as well with the dialogue, these books felt like it was written as a dramatic play. The protagonist was like, "Oh my goodness, help me, help me." I felt like she should have been doing this for most of the book. Like, every piece of dialogue ended with gasped or shouted. I felt like Kiera was just shouting the whole book and having tantrums. And Kiera, she talks to herself a lot. I don't know any person who talks to themselves like that. Like, usually when you talk to yourself, and authors do this, some authors do this well, they mutter to themselves, so they're like, oh damn, or oh, where is he? But Kiera shouts everything to herself. Doesn't make sense. Like, she was being chased by someone, and she shouted out, "Where are they?" Who does that? You don't shout out, "Where are they?" Like, who is she talking to? So yeah, that just all seems a little bit implausible for normal, the way the humans normally act. And the author threw around exclamation marks like they were full stops. I also feel like the author thinks his readers are stupid or something, because he feels he has to explain every little thing multiple times. Like, you know the phrase, or in a situation where someone, like the bad boy does something good for a certain character who we kind of feel like he doesn't normally like, and that character says, "Oh, thanks very much," and then the bad boy character usually says, I didn't do it for you. That's enough. You know he meant he did it for someone he likes, probably the girl. And that's enough for a reader. We can insinuate what he meant. But no, the author goes a step further. He writes, I didn't do it for you, I did it for someone else. Yeah, we kind of figure that. But no, he goes a little step further. He says, I didn't do it for you, I did it for someone else. Pause and looks to the person he did it for. I'm sorry, but there's no need to go through all that rigmarole. We got it what he meant from the first part. So that's just a little example of how the author has to lay out everything 100% clear, because you know us readers can't infer anything. And I feel like the author watches a lot of Criminal Minds or something, because there's lots of profiling in this, and because that's Kiera's supernatural power. She's a really good observer. The only thing maybe supernatural about it is that she can take in multiple things at once. Like in a few seconds she'll observe everything. But I don't think it's really supernatural. I mean, there's some geniuses out there, I assume, who can do that. I mean, take Reed, for example, in Criminal Minds. But so like, she'll go on a crime scene and she'll note, oh, a footprint, a hair, a broken branch in like about 2 seconds. And she'll say, oh, the murderer, you know, was this tall, this size foot, with this colour hair. And as a reader, like, okay, she's getting all that from her amazing observational skills, that's fine. But no, the author needs to go through every single reason about why she came to all these conclusions. It's like, okay, we get it, we understand, she observed it from everything around her. And then after a few books, the author didn't, you know, explain every little thing as much. If there was one scene where she looked in a house's window and she's like, oh, the wife loves Beyonce and they just had chicken dinner. I can kind of guess how she got that myself. Like, obviously she saw a Beyonce CD on the shelf and saw maybe bits of chicken in the bin. I don't know, I mean, I could have concluded how she came to that conclusion. But the author didn't, you know, explain it all. It's like, oh, finally, he's getting the point. You know, us readers aren't that stupid. But no, a few chapters later, then one character asks, how did you know all that? And of course she has to go through everything, how she found out everything. So I'm like, oh no, he's doing it again. And I don't think the author created a very badass heroine. Like, she's this police officer and she acts as if she can take care of herself, but not once does she end up saving herself. I mean, I don't even think she actually hit someone in this series. Like, it's kind of unrealistic in a way how she's involved in all these fights, yet she doesn't get touched and she doesn't end up saving herself anytime. So yeah, she's not very, you know, badass in a way. So yeah, there were a good few negatives with the writing. I'm saying this because I read reviews of this series before I read them, and all on Goodreads, and all the reviews were 5 stars. Everyone loved it, said it was amazing. I was like, oh my god, this series is going to be brilliant. And then I read it and I was like, well, it's not that great. And I feel like I have to say that because the reviews are a bit misleading. I know a lot of people can look past this writing thing and just be interested in the plot. Years ago when I was younger, I was like that. I didn't really care about the writing. But the more I've been reading over the years now, the more critical I am, and I just want a really good book. So hopefully, if you see a review of mine as positive, you'll be able to trust that even more, because I am quite critical and I want my books to be perfect in plot and writing. But I mean, there are, as I said, the concept in there was good, and the transitions and plot from book to book were quite good. And I do want to read the next one to see what happens. So I mean, the author captures some interest in me, which is positive, but it's not the most perfectly written series ever. So I would caution you. Like, do I recommend it? I'm not sure. If you're into the whole vampire thing, but a new twist on it, I'd suggest you read it. And if you're not really too picky with, you know, writing and things like that, I suggest you read it. But I mean, it's not the best series out there. You can always come back to it. So that's my spoiler-free review. I do think it was ridiculous how Kiera was saved in every single situation right before she was about to be hurt or touched by a vampire. She was saved. Like, it became so ridiculous that it was statistically impossible for her to be saved that many times. Not once was she touched, not once was she hurt, and I hate that. But I will read the next book. At least now I know, like, not to expect amazing writing. But thanks very much for watching the review today, and let me know what you think of the series. And as always, if you have any other recommendations, please let me know. And tune in next time.